Soulsborns and Souls-likes are known for their dubious NPCs, muttering nonsense, and weird and intricate quests that come together with a package. And Lords of the Fallen is not an exception, except some quests are so convoluted, make little to no sense, it's sometimes almost impossible to finish them without looking up a guide. In this video I want to talk about 6 most ridiculous, in a bad way, Lords of the Fallen quests. I'm currently working on 100%ing the game, and my frustration, my confusion, all these feelings are still fresh. Just a quick disclaimer, you're venturing into spoiler territory. Thank you very much for choosing this video. Comments, likes and shares are always appreciated. And let's start the list with this NPC you meet pretty early on. It's Thehk-Ihir. Thehk-Ihir. I'm pretty sure I'm butchering his name, alright? It's a man who traveled some distance to apply for a Hallowed Sentinel's pilgrim position but was refused, unfortunately. Like I said, you meet him pretty early on. He hangs out on the scaffolding on the way to Pilgrim's Perch. And from the get-go he acts way too nice and even gives you a stick that actually has more uses than you might initially think.
Here. Take this. I know it doesn't look like much, but it's been a dependable companion to me.
As you progress through the game, you meet Thehk-Ihir numerous times, mostly next to vestiges you naturally unlock. And the worst, in my opinion, thing about Thehk-Ihir's quest is how underwhelming it is. It honestly feels like a missed opportunity. I don't know about you, but to me, there's something about him that screams, aha, this is Lords of the Fallen's patches. Like, he always appears when it's convenient to you, he's way too nice for a Souls-like character, and he also squats like a Slav. You meet Thehk-Ihir for the last time near the vestige of Rosamund in the Abbey of the Hallowed Sisters, where he suggests that you should buy whatever you've been eyeing on his items because you never know what's gonna happen next. And then he just leaves. That's right, he just leaves Mornstead and you can't access him anymore in your current world. The most confusing thing though is to get the Thehk-Ihir's achievement you need to defeat Judge Cleric, could be the main boss of the game depending on what ending you're trying to get, and pick up Thorn Chalice. You pick it up and you get Without Purpose achievement. Thehk-Ihir leaves Mornstead. Very nice. How is the chalice connected to Thehk-Ihir? I don't know. I mean, he mentions Judge Cleric quite a few times, maybe that's how it works. It's just a very watered down quest, which is a shame. He's a great character. The only good thing about it, for some people at least, is how straightforward and easy it is. You simply can't miss the guy. You progress through the game and meet him next to vestiges. You don't need to bring him anything, and most importantly, you get the achievement not knowing that you're working on his quest. I guess it's quite a stretch to call Thehk-Ihir's quest ridiculous, but it's just extremely underwhelming, and I think it still deserves a spot on this list. I was expecting a good old stab in the back, though I can't really say the same about the next one because you can easily lock yourself from finishing it. Of course, I'm talking about Byron, the Bloody Baron. If you are working on Byron's quest, you should be very careful because if you trigger certain events, and by triggering certain events I mean using an elevator, you will lock yourself from finishing it. You first meet Byron next to the vestige of Blind Agatha at Pilgrim's Perch. You meet him again more than once by naturally progressing through the game. From his dialogues and some stigmas you find along the way, you learn that he used to be a Hallowed Sentinel and he was in love with another Hallowed Sentinel, Katrin. Then Katrin died and now he just tends to vestiges, making sure they work properly. His quest starts when you meet him standing next to the vestige of Katrin in Sunless Skein. Katrin was a lamb bearer, then she eventually died, creating the vestige. Byron is extremely mad because somebody stole Katrin's pendant and asks you to report back to him if you find it or whoever took it.
I left a token here in her memory. A pendant I gave her a long time ago, and now it's gone!
Later you find out that a little girl named Winterberry took it. You talk to her, she says she won't be giving it back. You report back to Byron and he mellows out, learning that it's just a little girl who took it. Later they both move to Skyrest Bridge and that concludes Byron's quest. You get Moving On achievement that only 7.3% of players on Steam have, and there's a good reason for that. And I'm not even talking about finding Winterberry, which is already quite hard. To access the location where Winterberry is, you need to defeat Skin Stealer, who drops a key that you need to use to drain water to access Revelation Depths. That's where Winterberry is. The issue is the same key is needed to open the door that leads to Upper Kalrath. It's just behind Skin Stealer, it's just there. And the first thing you think about after the boss is defeated is to traverse further. That's what I did, at least. But as soon as you open the door, it fucks up the quest. You go up, you meet Byron there, right next to the vestige, being like, "Oi mate, all good, I found the pendant." And I think it's an acceptable feature, you know, failing quests because you are not paying enough attention or not exploring enough, and it eventually brings you to a point of no return. But I don't think that opening a door should trigger this point of no return. In this case, it just doesn't make much sense, and it's absolutely impossible to predict that on your first playthrough. And I know Souls-likes are meant to be played multiple times, but again, punishing a player Heya for being curious is not the best design in my opinion. And before we continue, first of all, if you're new here, welcome in. I make Soulsborne, Souls-like related content, mostly game reviews, update reviews and streams. If that's something you'd want to see in your feed, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell thing. It is a great way to support a content creator. Likes, shares and comments are always appreciated too. Thank you very much. And the next quest on the list is so confusing that I don't even understand how the guide for it exists. I mean, some things you need to do are just so not obvious. At least they weren't for me. I'm talking about the tortured prisoner questline. You find this NPC locked inside one of the cells in Skyrest Bridge. To free the tortured prisoner, you need to solve a simple Umbral puzzle, get Searing Accusation, a Rogar catalyst, and bring him back to her. After that, she moves to the area where you fought Pietà and becomes a merchant that specializes in infernal spells. To progress her quest further, you need to bring her the giant eyeball that you acquire after defeating the spurned progeny.
He never knew his own face. No one to tell him how beautiful he was.
This will prompt her to move to the arena where you fought the spurned progeny, and this is where things get complicated. To continue on, you have to find the noblewoman's set, equip it, return to the spurned progeny area, and exhaust her dialogue. She will then move to Upper Calrath and will stay behind a metal fence next to the beacon. You'll have to find her there, exhaust her dialogue again to retrieve Elegant Perfume, a quest item that is not required to finish the quest. You don't even have to use it if you don't want to. After that, you need to progress the story of the game, reach Bramis Castle, find the charred letter there, bring it back to her, and that will prompt her to move again, this time to the vestige of the Bloody Pilgrim, that is simply called Castle in your warp menu. Your next goal is to bring her Swaddling Cloth, that is found in the king's bedroom. You find it, you bring it back, and you're almost done. You now need to defeat Sundred Monarch, and after that she will appear at the top of the stairs in the throne room and reveal that she's actually Queen Sephicia of Mornstead. And by the way, if you fight the monarch before bringing her the cloth, she turns hostile and you have to kill her. That fails the quest. I really enjoyed the lore behind the quest, like the fact that she's actually the queen and she was imprisoned by crazy hallowed sentinel fanatics, and that the spurned progeny was her child, and Elegant Perfume could be used against Sundred Monarch to stun him briefly, akin to the music box from Bloodborne, but it's just so convoluted that I personally wouldn't have finished it without looking up a guide. And the fact that only 5.6% of PC people have finished the quest says that I wasn't the only one having problems with it. And the next NPC is actually the first NPC the game reveals to you through the opening cutscene. It's Exacta Dunmire. And before proceeding with saying how confusing and random some parts of this quest are, I'd like to mention that Exacta Dunmire's quest is one of my favorite lore-wise, and I also think that the voice actor added to it a bunch with their absolutely stellar performance, especially towards the end.
I must exact the truth of all of it. That is what I must do, who I am. I must throw open the doors to my mind and invite it like an honored guest to supper.
So basically you need to bring Exacta Dunmire a bunch of shit. I don't want to list every item here for the sake of this video's length, but I will just mention that some of the items are lying around as world loot and some are hidden inside Umbral bellies in Umbral. After delivering a whole bunch of heretical items, Dunmire will tell you that he wants to learn more about Umbral and use it for the greater good. And as you start bringing him the requested Umbral items, his demeanor starts changing and his dialogues become more and more unhinged.
Attend me, surgeon. I seek a hole for my skull. Bring your saws, your borers, assault my corpse.
Eventually he completely loses his mind, gives in to the influence of Umbral and dies. The problem with this quest, again, is how little sense it makes in terms of Dunmire moving around the game world. First he moves to Mohu's room, which is fine, then to Sunless Skein, then Revelation Depths, and finally right into Mother's Lull, the location you need only if you're working towards getting the Umbral ending. And after jumping from vestige to vestige and listening to Dunmire's deranged ramblings, you eventually find him naked and dead back in Sunless Skein. Mother's Lull and Revelation Depths actually kinda make sense, I guess, because they're the closest to Umbral one can find, but Sunless Skein, I don't know. Maybe there is something that indicates him moving to the mines that I missed, but the way I see it, exactly Dunmire's quest can be finished either by some miraculous accident or with a guide. And the number one is, well, it's pretty easy to guess. Of course I'm gonna be talking about the Umbral ending and the Iron Wayfarer quest. It's 2 in 1. To get the Umbral ending in Lords of the Fallen, you are required to perform a shit list of tasks in a specific order, kill off a bunch of important NPCs like Gerlinda for example, which I don't have any problems with, but in Lords of the Fallen's fashion, performing some actions in a wrong order or simply interacting with some door can ruin your playthrough, and all the hours spent working towards getting the ending will be wasted. This actually happened to me twice. The first time when I accidentally cleansed the beacon, that's totally on me, and the second time was by opening the Bramys Castle gate after the Iron Wayfarer boss fight. The latter was especially painful because I was originally working on finishing Damarose's quest, where you have to bring her a bunch of meat. I decided to kill her off despite delivering all the items, all the meats, but couldn't get the ending anyways because, yes, of course, if you open the gate leading to Bramys Castle, you lock yourself from the Umbral ending. So I ended up getting the Inferno ending for the second time and restarting the New Game Plus 0 iteration because, you know, fighting a deer is one agonizing experience. After defeating the Iron Wayfarer, you need to bring the rune of a deer to the Remnant in Mother's Lull. Then you need to find the Wayfarer in Thief of Chill Curse, get Harkin's Umbral Parasite. What a surprise, right? The Iron Wayfarer is actually Harkin from another Lords of the Fallen game. The Umbral ending quest is way too complicated. It's easy to ruin your playthrough if you mess up with the order. It's also still buggy. For example, I could not place the Light Reaper Parasite into the column in Mohu's room. Restarting the game fixed the issue for me, but I was on the brink of just abandoning the whole thing altogether. The reason why I decided to combine the last 2 chapters of the video, the Umbral ending and the Iron Wayfarer quest, into one is because they're quite intertwined. If you want to complete Wayfarer's quest, your interaction with him doesn't stop with one of the shittiest boss fights in the whole game, if you know what I mean. And Harkin's quest is just shit. You can ruin it by skipping a stigma or skipping an encounter with a man. I wish they did more justice to the main protagonist of the first game. Bottom line is, the Umbral ending is the most agonizing quest I've ever done in a Soulsborne/Souls-like game, and I'm not looking forward to doing it again anytime soon. The only good thing about it is that you get to fight Elian, the boss you otherwise will never meet, and it's a pretty cool boss fight. It's quite challenging, especially on New Game Plus. I don't know if making a good Lords of the Fallen quests video would be possible, because the remaining quests are just okay, but let me know what you think. Can you relate to my frustration? If you have stories, share them with the community in the comments, and that's about it. Thanks for watching, see ya!